we saw in the candidates by Jan. David, was it the last round against Fabi?
That's right. Very, very similar stuff. It's a slightly different branch of the Queen's Gambit declined. But Jan, he was taking risks. You mentioned that game. You referenced Caruana against Nepomniachtchi. Kind of must-win situation for both players. That's really rare at the top level where both players needed to win. With Black, of course, it's slightly harder to create that imbalance. But Jan, he channeled that energy into this game. And just like that one, there's a bishop on b4. Just like that one, you're recognizing the patterns. I love it, Tanya. Throwing the pawns down the board, trying to trap this bishop. If the pawn steps down to h4, this white bishop would have been caught in a net. So Denis gives it some space. Do you feel, Tanya, that he's also trying to play the opponent, Denis Lazavik, known for preferring maybe quieter positions? Do you think that's on Jan's mind right now?
And this is something that we brought up time and time again, especially in the last season, how Denis Lazavik, he's such a strategic player, and that's what sets him apart from, well, his other 17-year-old contemporaries, where we see a very different approach, a positional, a more solid approach by him, incredible endgame play by him. And Jan here clearly trying to create chaos right out of the opening. Very ambitious play by Black in this one. And David, that's often a double-edged sword because you've committed so much on the king side, and that begs the question to be asked, what are you going to do about your own king, which right now is stuck in the center?
Oh, that's the million-dollar question. I wish I had the answer there, Tanya. If I had the answer, I'd probably be playing where Jan is right now. Wow, he doesn't even care about the Black king stranded in the center. He's going straight for the white king, which is also stranded for now. d4, big threat of capturing, unleashing an attack against white's bishop. Ooh, this is the most ambitious play I've seen with the black pieces against the Queen's Gambit for a long, long time, I've got to say. What do you think, Tanya? Is he going to block here, Denis Lazavik? Does he even have a choice? Opening the center feels double-edged. It's either very good or very bad. Tough choices already. And the clock playing a factor. We need to.
Ooh. What a position we've got right out of the opening in this one. And you mentioned that right now, Jan Nepomniachtchi, just under 9 minutes. He's the one who's blitzing out the moves. And Denis keeps his king flexible with that last move, not only lining up against Jan's center king, but also eyeing perhaps a queenside castle, although would be very tempting to put that king to safety on the king side. I like this move. And Jan blocks the e-file, blocks any checks in it with a developing move. The speed, does it seem to imply that Jan is still in some sort of preparation here, David?
Maybe, although Jan is maybe one of the hardest players to read. He's a bit of a bluffer, or he has been known in the past to bluff, just to continue playing fast, even if he's not completely in his preparation any longer. And there we see, at least very briefly, a question mark appear from the computer, not approving of Jan's decision. I have a feeling Jan's actually on his own, but he's trying to scare his younger opponent. And in rapid chess, we've seen it on multiple occasions. Having that extra minute or two towards the critical moments, maybe by move 30, move 40, that can be decisive. So Jan, I think he's playing a practical game more than anything. But Tanya, we talked about the king. This is definitely the most exciting game of these early winners quarterfinals because it's just about this king. I have no idea where it wants to hide. Nope, nowhere looks safe. This looks really terrifying for Jan Nepomniachtchi.
It's fire on the board and allow Denis to jump in with that knight from d2 to e4, eyeing the dark squares around the king, hitting that g5 pawn. Things start to look incredibly scary for Black. And David, if I was facing this position with the black pieces, I would think about getting rid of that knight. We know how strong an attacker the knight can be. Bishop takes knight, could that be on Jan's radar? It does give away the bishop pair.
Does give away the bishop pair. It's a very open position, and you can imagine white's bishops raking across the board. Look how strong this piece is. A real assassin, a sniper from afar. But I agree, Tanya, maybe there's more pressing concerns than the long-term bishop pair. And there we go. You're right. It's more about timing here. You save yourself a move, potentially. At least now your bishop is no longer pinned. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Black just get the queen out the way and try to castle on the long side. I say that through gritted teeth because... I mean, where on earth is the king going to be safe? If you castle long, you might just get checkmated as well on the open c-file. There's no way you're going to shuffle over to the corner. Yeah, you definitely can't go kingside either. It's the million-dollar question. Never going to be answered. Queen d5, though, is on the board. The most natural move. But what next? I'm expecting Denis to just centralize one of the rooks.
And the bar keeps creeping up. Denis Lazavik with at least what looks like, according to the engine evaluation, a close to a winning advantage. And look at the speed that Denis keeps on with the board. He sidesteps any pins along the d file, whether it was the rook coming onto d8 or a long castle. With the same idea, he's centralizing his queen, freeing up the bishop, also lining it up with the idea of the bishop stepping onto e4. That queen on d5, centralized, but also exposed. I think Jan Nepomniachtchi, this is backfiring for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's either going to survive and do okay in an endgame, or he's just getting checkmated. There's nothing in between right now. It's very high risk. Not even high reward chess. It's high risk and maybe low reward chess here. You might survive to a slightly worse endgame. I think he just needs to try and beg for the queen trade. Because if queens are on, then it's clearly only the black king who's going to get mated. If a white queen ever lands on this diagonal, and then it's going to be, even this diagonal, then it's going to be checkmate. But not quite getting there yet, Tanya. Denis wisely keeping the queens on, and he's actually ahead on time now, the youngster. Big surprise on the table.
Super fast there by Denis. He wants to go for checkmate. He's got a clear idea, a small but a big threat. Bishop takes knight is incoming, so it needs to be stopped. Also, the rook from f1 can move to d1, attacking the queen, coming into the game with tempo. David, the most natural move would be to play a move like knight e5, attacking the queen, but that would run into a big check on the c file.
Yeah, big check on the c file. Also, pawns would be dropping in the near future. Bishop takes b7. This is... Look at Jan on the camera. He's reacting already. He looked to the side, kind of grimaced, and he's like, oh, I've messed this up, but I'm going to try and keep a poker face. Sip some tea as well. That's always a telltale sign, Tanya, when players sip their water. They are either doing very well or they're trying to hide and bury their emotions. But this one, I mean, the bar has just gone crazy through the roof. Like you said, rook c1, bishop takes c6, all of it. Kind of all roads lead to Rome at this point, and Rome here being that black king. It's terrible.
This has all the makings of just ending up being a big miniature upset. Denis Lazavik, he's done everything right. But can he get the ball at the back of the net? Can he finish the job? That, well, not just Denis, but Jan has started with his ambitious play here. And I saw the featured chat there recommending, helping us there, David. With a move like g4, it might be time for Jan to hit the chaos button, because you can't just sit in this position as black.
Yeah, I like it. Thanks to our chat out there. The problem is after g4, there might be ideas like the white queen stepping forward in the near future. Maybe you just take that pawn off the board first, and you do free up the f4 square for the white queen. I agree. If you can press the chaos button, at least try to confuse your opponent, you might stand a chance. But I think Jan here, he's doomed either way. He does play your move knight e5. I agree. It might be the best shot, even if it does gambit a pawn. But at least now you've closed the long diagonal. The black king might try to shuffle towards the corner. And I say it again, reluctantly, because I think he's simply lost here in multiple ways. But Jan, yeah, it's self-inflicted. Denis hasn't actually had to do anything special. We sometimes say Denis the Menace, Tanya, like just confusing his opponents, outmaneuvering his opponents. Here, he's just reacted, and Jan has done the hard work for him. It feels like Black's suffering due to the fact he was overambitious in the opening.
And it also feels like we've been calling out all of the last few moves that have been played on the board, but the bar keeps going up. It feels like it's just the most natural moves seem to be the one that make Black's position worse. Look at that. The black king lined up with the black queen, and the center of the board, the d file, white is one move away. Rook d1 would be a killer move, but right now that queen on f3 is hanging with a check. Is there a direct blow, a knockout blow in this position, David?
There must be, Tanya. I don't see it yet, but there must be. Even an endgame, even if you were to trade queens, you're probably just winning on the spot due to multiple attacks. You might just pick up a few pawns, but I'm wondering, do you just drop back the white queen? Do you kind of plant her forward into f6, maybe going in?
Can I just say, queen e3 is such a David Howell move to make. You just go into this endgame, play for this long grind like a grandmaster, but Denis has other plans.
Yeah, that's, again, why it's him there playing, not me. He's younger, faster, more energetic, more ambitious, and he doesn't want to settle for an extra pawn in an endgame. He wants to checkmate, and I think he's going to get there. Jan shaking his head again on the camera. Visible now, his disgust with his position. He takes a bishop, but where's the killer blow, Tanya? Just bishop takes e5. Check incoming. Rooks galore, all hanging now.
And you can't go bishop d5. Rook c7 is game over. Rook c7 is a massive threat on the board, just with a checkmate on e7.
Yeah. Good spot. I mean, I was looking for the material, but why bother with that? Bishop to c4. I mean, check seems to do the business, seems to win immediately on the spot. I'm sure there's multiple ways. Queen to d6 looks strong. Denis finds
This is
another
over.
one. Yeah, I think we'll see resigns and our first result of Division 1 any moment now. Wow. Demolition job, Tanya.
Absolute destruction. And Jan Nepomniachtchi throws in the towel. He resigns. Denis Lazavik gets the first win. It was a miniature. What a show by Denis. What a start by him. If you love the underdog story, you've got to be rooting for Denis. And what a start, David, that is.
Yeah, it's the changing of the guard, the youngsters here. Denis